Welcome today, folks. I appreciate you all coming. Just to let you know, my name is Lieutenant Robert Richmond, R-O-B-E-R-T-R-I-C-H-M-A-N. I'm with the Organized Crime Division of the Austin Police Department. So what we're here today is to discuss on May 18th, last Wednesday, detectives from the Organized Crime Division of the Austin Police Department filed charges in the United States District Court, Western District, charging Sylvester Orlowski and Albert Pagazzo III with intentionally, knowingly, and unlawfully possessing with intent to distribute an illegal controlled substance, fentanyl, with conspiracy to commit drug trafficking crime. During the course of the investigation, the detectives found evidence to believe that Mr. Orlowski and Mr. Pagazzo had been involved in selling fentanyl to two individuals who ended up overdosing and dying from this drug. The investigations revealed that the drug has been coming from China, and the specific method of delivery is still under investigation both locally and federally. The Austin Police Department would like to warn folks here in the community that the use of fentanyl is exceptionally highly dangerous. The potency level that's coming from this drug, this fentanyl, is exceptionally greater than the same dosage of heroin, methamphetamine, or cocaine, and it can lead to an immediate overdose and death. And also, if it's handled improperly, it can be very, very dangerous. Mixing fentanyl with street drugs like heroin or cocaine markedly amplifies the potency and the potential dangers. With our press release that's going to be available from PIO immediately following this press conference, there's several different things that we were able to get for the street names of the drug. One of the street names is also called China White. It just so happens that this has been coming from China itself. The drug itself, it's actually used, it's a prescription drug for the most part. It's been used very, very potent, more so than morphine. It's used to treat patients with severe pain, manage pain after surgery. So the tips that we have that we would like people who, number one, if you're selling drugs, we're gonna come get you. And we are gonna file on you federally, especially if it ends up resulting in the death of anyone. So we would like to really impress that upon the community that if you are using this type of drug, if you're using an illegal drug, one, please don't use the illegal drug. And number two, get help. There are lots and lots of resources in the Austin area available for people who are addicted to drugs. Please reach out. Please get some help. If you're unsure about what you have, please don't use it. Additionally, citizens that have any information related to drug-related crimes, they may call the Austin Police Department Narcotics Tip Line at 512-974-8609. Do y'all have any questions at all?
Yeah, I know that two of the guys, at least one of the guys who overdosed was with his friend at the time who was freaking out. He called the dealer, he called another friend, but he didn't call 911, at least as far as I know. Can you talk a little bit about if your friend is overdosing and you're afraid of calling 911, is there any immunity there? Is there anything that you can tell people about things they might be afraid of that they shouldn't be afraid of?
I think number one, what we need to be afraid of is that your friend is going to die or has a possibility of dying. I think that's number one we need to put in front of everything, is that regardless of whatever the criminal consequences may be, that the death of a friend or a family member, it's not worth it. You definitely call 911, get that person to help. Put one thing in front of the other, and I definitely think saving a person's life, especially of a loved one or a friend, that definitely is the most important thing. The criminal charges and things of that sort, there's a lot that goes into these different criminal cases and things. Being charged personally with somebody who's actually ingested the drug itself, another person more than likely would not be charged because there's no possession any longer, that it's actually in that person who is in medical distress. What's most important is that information gets out to emergency personnel and they're able to administer the medical care that they need.
Have we seen anything outside of these two deaths? Have we seen more of this out on the streets? Maybe people who have not necessarily died, but have we seen any kind of uptick or increase?
We've seen an uptick in the overdoses of fentanyl. And what's really shocking about this drug is that it is so incredibly potent that it's more anecdotal than anything else, but it appears to us that a lot of the regular drug users that are using methamphetamine and cocaine and things of that sort are trying to use it in a similar fashion. And it is so incredibly potent that there's just no way it can be used in that same fashion. I mean, it will kill you using it. With this case, with overdoses related to death, we are investigating other cases that may be related. but we don't have evidence to prove that those specifically are related to this arrest.
How many total are you investigating that may be related to fentanyl?
Right now, we're looking at 4 cases, to include these 2 who have passed.
It says in the affidavit Orlovsky had prescription bottles with his name on it. Do we know, were those being used to somehow distribute the drug at all? We understand it can be actually used in other drugs, heroin and not. Did those prescription bottles play a part in how they were distributing?
The information that we have so far, it's not. It doesn't lead us to believe that he's getting it from a physician. It leads us to believe that he's actually getting it from a distributor in China. So I don't know what the relevance of those bottles would be. I'd have to ask the detective.
The 2 young men who overdosed and died, is there any indication that they knew they were taking fentanyl?
That I don't know. I really don't know. It could be, possibly, and that is what part of the larger investigation. I mean, it's important to know right now, Mr. Orlovsky and Mr. Pagazzo have been charged. There are still lots of things to go through during the case itself when it goes to trial and things of that sort to prove and disprove. And so that'll come out during the time of trial.
You said that it was coming in from China. How are they getting it in?
That is currently under investigation. So we're going to continue to pursue that route. And being that is an ongoing investigation, and we're also working with that with the federal authorities too, with the DEA, ATF, et cetera, part of the task force. We're not going to discuss that just because it might lead to having some problems with further investigations.
These suspects in jail?
Those 2 suspects are in jail, yes.
Are they from the Austin area?
You know what? I think that, well, both of them were living in the Austin area. I don't know if they're originally from the Austin area.
It looked like Orlovsky actually helped lead authorities to the next guy, Albert.
Pagazzo?
Yeah, it sounds like he helped lead authorities in the right direction. Will he be given any kind of immunity or a break in potential charges because of that?
That's really up to the federal prosecutor and the judge at the time of trial of whether they're going to give him any kind of immunity or anything of that sort. I think what's most important is that you look at it and being able to at least assist us in the investigation is something that it's helpful in us getting the broader perspective and us knocking down those really, really large drug dealers that are pushing us out on the street and killing our community.
And you would describe those 2 arrested suspects as those really, you said, large-scale drug dealers?
I would describe any person who is actually dealing drugs. You're a drug dealer, you're a drug dealer. It doesn't matter if you're dealing a pill or if you're dealing 10 kilos, et cetera, et cetera. If you're dealing in anything that's going to kill somebody, it's the same thing. I know that there are federal guidelines in different quantities and amounts that affect the actual sentencing guidelines and the enhancements and things of that sort. So even with this case, we're looking at anywhere from nothing at all to lifetime in prison. And so what's most important is at the time of trial that will come out. My personal opinion when it comes to dealing drugs, especially things like methamphetamine, fentanyl, cocaine, etc., those destroy everything it touches. There is nobody out there saying that I can sit there and I can do these things and I'm a productive citizen and this and that. It destroys everything it touches. What's most important is that if we have people out there that are using these drugs, they need to be incredibly cautious, totally understanding that addiction is something that a lot of folks can't control. If they're using these drugs, reach out, get some help. You know, there's lots and lots of resources here in Austin. There's lots of resources available nationally. We want you to get help. We don't want people dying on our streets from using these drugs.
Last question. What
You
is?
good?
I guess my last question is, I noticed in the affidavit that I think Orlovsky sold 1 small batch of fentanyl for something like $600. Is this affecting wealthier people who have the means to buy $600 worth of drugs?
I think anybody who has, if you look at the way that the drug market is, it really is a very varied cross section of our community. The amount of money that someone makes isn't necessarily directly related to the amount of drugs they can buy. There is a tremendous amount of money that is spent from a cross section from the poorest all the way up to the most wealthiest citizen in Austin. If they want it and they're out there trying to get it, there's ways for them to get it, and that's what we're trying to get on top of and be able to stamp out. I wouldn't necessarily characterize $600 worth of fentanyl as a wealthy person's crime versus somebody who's very, very poor. I think what's most important is, especially with the fentanyl, I think it's very misunderstood. I think that the normal drug users who are out there that are using, like I said before, methamphetamine and cocaine and things of that sort, the amounts that they're used to taking with those drugs, they cannot do with fentanyl. Fentanyl will kill you, as those other drugs will too. But this is not something to mess around with. It's the way that they disperse it, whether it be with water, it changes things. Like if it's handled, you need to be very, very cautious if you come across it. That's why we like, if somebody comes across and they even suspect that it's fentanyl, give us a call. We'll deal with that. Don't touch it. Especially if it's in liquid, it can become transdermal. It absorbs through your skin or your mucous membrane, and it can be very, very deadly.
All right. Thank you.